Hi, everybody. I'm Chicago psychic medium and intuitive consultant Mel Dorr, and I promised everybody I would come on maybe once daily during this crisis that's going on in our country. I've talked to my psychic friends every day, Beverly Kirby, texting Linda Grindle, Nancy Regan, energy worker, um, just to consult with them and see what's going on. You know, I guess the big question is, will they be able to invoke the 25th Amendment to get Donald Trump out of office? But I saw on television last night that Nancy Pelosi and I think Chuck Schumer put a call into Pence's office, and they were on hold 25 minutes, and then they were told that Pence left the office. So my feeling is that he is just going to not budge on the 25th Amendment. I am seeing impeachment proceedings starting. And even if that goes on once Trump is out of office, they won't stop the impeachment proceedings because that can make sure that he can never hold office again, federally anyway. A lot of people have asked me about Trump pardoning himself. He can try that. I don't think it'll work. I mean, you can't knowingly commit a crime and then pardon yourself after you committed it because you know you have the pardon. That just, I don't think works. I hope that this is an end to this violence. I still think there's more coming. I pray that I'm wrong. But I think the thing is that we need to speak up against the big lie. I think when people believe, the lies, we need to speak up with the truth, and we need to hold those accountable. My guides told me that this whole thing in Washington was planned, it was organized, and it was orchestrated. And Donald Trump and his son and his daughter, Giuliani, they had their hands in it. They clearly had their hands in it. And Washington our capital wasn't the only place that was attacked that day. There were other state capitals where people didn't march. They stormed in. One, I think, was the governor's mansions, especially in those states where, Trump was saying the election was rigged. I find it amazing that those people in the House and those senators who are saying that, they didn't want to certify the electoral votes, they knew that the election wasn't rigged. They're just trying to play to Trump's supporters and these ultra-right militias in order to try to gain political favor with them. So when they try to run for politics, but I think it was political suicide for a lot of them, some of those senators as well. I see investigations into Josh Hawley and into Cruz and other senators. I watched Trump's, they said, concession speech. If you call that a concession speech, that I'm a rocket scientist. That wasn't a concession speech. I think Trump did that because he was forced to. And I think, I predict at least that's what I see. And if he really, 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 he did that to get himself out of trouble because they knew he was in deep doo-doo. But if he really were sincere, he would have said, I have proof that the election was real. It wasn't rigged. It wasn't a hoax, all of that stuff. But yet, he egged the protesters on, then he threw them under a bus to save his own skin. So more and more are going to come out about the big lies. I think it was like, as I said, 6 people died because of this. And I'm nervous about Inauguration Day. I do think I see that they're going to call out the National Guard to make sure Inauguration Day happens. And I see many, many indictments coming down for the insurrection. But again, this thing was planned, and it had been planned for months. It just wasn't something that occurred haphazardly. Granted, it was a mob. And I think there's a lot of splinter groups that are working on social media to keep bringing about these groups of insurrection. But ultimately, I see that stopped. Good. I think there things happen in Phoenix, Oregon, Washington State, Washington, D.C., Georgia. Um, I think that Hawley and Cruz, as I said, thought that they'd make a big hit, uh, but they could have withdrawn their opposition. Um, but as I said, they were playing to Trump's base. I think there's something big that's going to happen again. I just feel it. I hope I'm wrong. Um, but after this is all over and done with, Pence is going to be called to testify. My guides tell me to Congress. Um, I think that we're going to see more shenanigans from that ultra right fascist movement, which ultimately will put down. We're still not out of the woods. So I think even after Trump is out of office, we have to be diligent. And I think we have to try to people together. Um, my bigger question is, where was the security? I watched a video when Black Lives Matter were in the Capitol, and they were just silently protesting, and they were arrested. Back in 2017, I think Warnock was arrested. But yet, where were the Capitol Police yesterday, knowing that rally was going to march to the Capitol? And then I watched the video footage of the police opening the gates for people or taking selfies with them. They're gonna be called to justice for that. It's very, very sad that a police officer died. It's sad that anybody died because of this. And I think those people that were involved in this, that were complicit in this, probably should be held for everything else they've done for manslaughter, because people died. I don't even think the FBI knows what to charge them with. There's many Republican governors calling for Trump's resignation. A lot of people, a lot of Republicans. Republican Party isn't bad. There's some wonderful Republicans. There's some wonderful Democrats. It's that faction of conspiracy theorists. They're not even Republicans. I don't know what they are, but I see that party fractured. It will heal. Good, but it won't be the party of Trump. It'll be more like what the people in the Lincoln Project are talking about. I mean, I don't know if it's the old order Republican, and I see a point in time where there's peace in this country and politicians reaching across the aisle. And as Americans, if we're Democrat, Republican, Independent, they can have conversations and respect each other's opinion without threats of violence and without hating each other. What have we come to as a nation? I think we all take a collective responsibility. And what happened? Because of those of us who aren't Trump need to speak up. I wrote my senator yesterday, 2 senators, and my congressperson, asking them to bring Trump to justice for what he's done. At any rate, I want to touch on the cabinet members that resigned really quickly. And a lot of people think they did so because in protest of how Trump incited that riot. I think they did so, at least what I see psychically, is to protect their own butts, because they figured that they might be called upon to invoke the 25th Amendment against Trump. So they resigned because they didn't want to have to do that. I think they resigned to cover their own butts, as I said. I think that'll come out as well. Let me see here. I'm just looking at my notes. I apologize. So I watched Trump's speech from January the 6th. I watched Giuliani. Somebody said he looks like a penguin, doesn't he? He looked like a penguin. Oh my God, he looked like he belonged in a Batman movie. I watched Trump's son. I watched Trump's speech. And it was unhinged. It was just rambling about lie after lie after lie, even though in the face of all truth, every 3 counts in Georgia, all these states saying, look, there was the elections weren't rigged. Trump made all these false allegations. He had no proof for them. And then said he was going to march with the people of the Capitol. The coward didn't, and urged them to march. And then he came out and said that violence is wrong. Well, violence is wrong. And he threw him under a bus. And they're really mad at him. They should be. My friend Gina Landini, hi Gina, sent me a message yesterday to say, you know, could I help ease people's mind and say that I see a time of peace and harmony? Yes, I do see that coming. Unfortunately, there's going to be more episodes of anarchy. But yet I do see Homeland Security, FBI, maybe CIA, investigating a lot of these groups that are inciting this violence. So, you know, we've got a lot of work to do. But here again, let's heal these wounds, bring those responsible to justice, because justice does happen in America. My guides tell me the next 3 to 6 months will be rough for us all, but we will get through this. Our democracy will survive. I think Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley owes the American people an apology, but I love it when somebody said it, that they'll always have an S, the scarlet letter S on their chest for sedition. I hope they come to their senses, but it's pretty obvious they're just trying to pander to Trump's base to set up a run for themselves for president, which at this point they'll never get. Anyway, Inauguration Day will happen. I see the National Guard being called out in Washington, D.C. to prevent the Capitol, to prevent violence, and in other states as well, especially those swing states that went toward Biden. I see the National Guard being called out there to prevent violence. You know, I think there's certain code words out there they're using, I heard this morning, but I think that, you know, the government will be able to kind of monitor all that and stop some of these insurrections before they begin. At any rate, Gina, thanks. She's a wonderful insurance lady. I do see peace coming. It'll take us a while to get there. It's going to take a while to heal the wounds that have been put on America, but we'll get there. I'll come back every day between now, or every other day between now and the inauguration, and let you know what my guides say. I wanted to touch today, though, on, you know, removal of Trump from office by the 25th Amendment. I think there are people around Trump that are telling him to resign. So I'm having a hard time seeing him finish out his term as president. It's only, what, 10 days, 11 days? At any rate, I wish you a good day, and I'll talk with you later, and stay safe and well. And let's send vibrations of peace, harmony, togetherness for our country. Namaste.